I still used the baby name I told my sister I was going to use, despite her using a variation of it first. My sister Denise and I were pregnant at the same time last year. She was due in August, I was due in September. We texted bump pictures back and forth for months like it was some kind of contest. In April, I called her from the parking lot after my anatomy scan and told her the name I picked. Colette Coral. Colette after our mom, Coral after my husband Grant's mom, Coco for short. I thought it was the sweetest thing I'd ever come up with. Denise went quiet for a second on the phone. Then she said that was really sweet. She said she and her husband Paul already knew what they were having, and they already had a name picked, but they wanted it to stay a surprise for everyone, so she wasn't going to tell me. I said that was fine. I figured whatever they picked, it probably wouldn't clash with Colette. How many names even sound like Colette? She had her baby shower in June. I sat in the front row eating cake off a paper plate, 8 months pregnant myself, watching her open onesies. Nobody said a word about names. In August, I got the text at 6 a.m. It's a boy and a girl. Twins. Nobody knew. She'd kept the whole thing a secret, even the gender, even the fact there were two. I drove to the hospital that afternoon with a balloon bouquet. Denise was propped up in bed, hair still damp from the delivery room, holding both babies. She looked up at me and said their names before I even asked. Cole and Letty. I smiled and told her how perfect that was. How sweet that she named them after mom. She just nodded and looked back down at the babies. I didn't think about it again until I was in labor myself 3 weeks later, at 2 a.m., gripping the hospital bed rail so hard my knuckles went white. Grant kept saying the name back to me between contractions like it would help. Colette Coral. Coco. I'd already had a blanket monogrammed with it, $40 on Etsy, sitting folded in my hospital bag since July. When she was born at 4:47 p.m., I named her exactly what I said I would. Colette Coral. We call her Coco. Denise brought it up the first time at her twins' 1-month photos. In the group chat, typing LOL, so we have Cole, Letty, and Coco now. Guess we're all matching. I laughed it off. Then she brought it up at Thanksgiving, loud enough for our grandmother to hear across the table, saying it was honestly kind of ridiculous that 3 of the cousins basically shared a name, and how confusing it was going to be at every birthday party for the next 18 years. She said it every time we were all in a room together after that. Every single time. I let it go for months because I genuinely thought it was just an awkward coincidence neither of us planned. Then in October, we had a cookout at Paul's parents' place. Nina was there, Denise's friend from college who works the front desk at the OB office we both go to. She'd had 3 White Claws by 7 p.m. and was sitting next to me on the porch steps, laughing about how small the waiting room always got in the summer. She said she still couldn't believe Denise waited so long to actually pick Letty, after knowing about Colette since March. I asked her what she meant. Nina's face changed. She said Denise had asked her back in the spring to peek at my intake paperwork, just to see what name I'd written on the birth plan form, because Denise wanted, in her words, first dibs on something close to it before I could use it everywhere. I sat there on that porch step and felt my whole face go hot. I walked straight into the kitchen where Denise was cutting watermelon and asked her, in front of Paul's mom, if it was true that she'd had Nina look at my chart. Denise put the knife down slow. She said, so what if I did? I still had them first. That's not my problem. I said she'd told me for months it was a surprise, that she didn't know, that she just happened to land on something close. She shrugged and said she wanted people to know whose idea it really was. My mom, who'd been standing by the fridge the whole time, set her plate down on the counter so hard the fork bounced off. She looked at Denise and said, you had front desk access to your sister's medical file just so you could steal a name first, and you've spent 5 months making her feel like the asshole for it? Denise didn't answer. My mom told her to get her keys and go home and think about what she did to her sister before Thanksgiving rolls around again, because she wasn't welcome at the next one until she apologized. Denise grabbed Cole off the porch swing, left Letty's diaper bag behind, and drove off without saying goodbye to anyone. I reported Nina to the practice manager the following Monday. She was let go by the end of that week for the records violation.